Greetings, everyone. I am Dr. Tommy Watson, and welcome to another episode of Resilient Stories Podcast, where we share the grit and glory behind the stories of amazing people like you who have bounced back from failure and adversity to go and live their best lives on purpose. Today's show is being sponsored by $1 Million Business Pathway. We believe everyone has a story to tell and to sell. You want to learn how to tell and sell your story? Go to tawatson.com under the programs and products page and click on $1 Million Business Pathway to get yourself started. So, folks, are you guys ready for another amazing episode today? Joining me, I have my friend, the one and only Mr. Walter Bond. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Tommy Watson, man. We go way back, man. Good
That's
to
right.
see you. Looking good, dressed nice.
That's right.
It's awesome, man.
I got my red on for you, man. Since you're a Kappa, man, I have my red on for you today.
Oh, okay, I like you even more now.
That's right. So, Walter Bond, it's a pleasure having you on, brother. Love you, man. Always good seeing you. Tell the audience, man, anything latest that's going on with you.
You know, a lot, with this coronavirus, this is a specific time period we're in. So whenever you watch this video or enjoy this podcast, we're kind of coming out of the coronavirus, if you will. But, my wife and I are business partners, and we took advantage of this gift of time.
Yeah.
And obviously we washed our hands and we were responsible and respected the coronavirus, but we really worked on our business, right? And so, Tommy, you're an athlete, sometimes you're in season and sometimes you're in your off season. And so for me, being a keynote speaker who had been on the road, my God, for the last 20 years, and doing anywhere from 80 to 100 keynotes a year, when I get back home in the office, I'm exhausted and I'm tired. So this gift of time gave us a chance to finish off a teamwork methodology we've been working on. Wow. We've been working on an assessment. We launched a nonprofit. So as far as we're concerned, the coronavirus was a gift of time that we'll probably never get again. Yes. And we just took advantage of it to build bigger capacity for our business. So now we're not just a motivational speaking company. We're a full service training and development organizations, training thousands and thousands of employees around the world.
Yes, that's awesome. And if folks want to get more information on your training program, how do they do that?
Easy. They can go to walterbond.com, walterbond.com, or they can go to offseasonplan.com, offseasonplan.com, or you can go to youreiteam.com. But the main website is my name, walterbond.com.
Man, that's awesome. He made it very easy for you guys to contact him, reach out to him. Motivational speaker, coach, consultant, man. Him and his family is excellent. They got a family business going on over his daughter, Kendall. She's put everything together, man, to make him look good. And he just shows up, man. So I'm glad to see you doing your thing, though. So, Walt, this podcast focuses a lot on resiliency and giving our listening audience a chance to really kind of hear about trials and tribulations that people have gone through and to walk us through how you got through those tribulations. So, again, I appreciate you joining us, man. I'm gonna start with the first question. Walt, what's been the biggest obstacle you've had to overcome personally and professionally?
There's been a few. I would say the biggest one would be filing bankruptcy. Yeah. Our first business failed. Yeah. And basically we got busted. And my wife and I had to really together, put on our bootstraps and dig out the hole. And it's been a blessing for us to have that experience because now we coach small business owners.
Yes.
We deal with a lot of corporate clients. And so we can relate to success in business. We can relate to failure in business. And so the beauty of it is that we're more relatable. And the business we had was in franchising. Now I'm a resource in franchising and one of the hottest keynote speakers in franchising. Yes. So what I learned, Tommy, honestly, these trials and tribulations are blessings.
Yes.
It gives us a chance to bounce back and learn. See, the one thing we don't understand, a lot of people don't understand that adversity was designed to increase your value. Absolutely. When I think about you and who you've become, a lot of that came through adversity. When you responded the right way through your adversity. And that's why you go around preaching resilience, because the truth is, if you don't understand why adversity comes, you quit, you bellyache, you piss and moan, you make excuses, you get depressed, instead of saying, understand. Even in the Bible, every time before God used somebody, they went through adversity first to kind of get them ready. In football, you got to go through training camp in order to play the season. Right. And that's all adversity is. It's training camp for you to go on and do great things.
That's right. And what type of franchise did you guys have?
It was called Jamboree Playing Music. It was a child development program. And so ironically, we've always been in development. My wife and I both love to be successful. We love to make money, but at the end of the day, our purpose is to help people develop. So that program was from newborns to about 4 years old. And now we're helping grown people, adults, fully develop.
Yeah. So, you know what, when you say that, you know, there's a lot of people out there who've heard of individuals who've gone bankruptcy or filed it as well. Talk to me, you know, go back to that moment in time when you were, because you guys had a business where you were serving kids and families, right?
Yes.
So when the doors closed, you didn't just impact your lives, though, you impact the lives of a lot of other folks as well, though. Talk to us about the feelings and emotions that you kind of had to deal with, knowing that it wasn't just you guys who have been impacted. You probably had at least, you know, 100 families that, you know, you're dealing with as well, right?
Probably about 400 families.
400 families. Wow.
Yeah. It was very emotional.
Wow.
We had anywhere from 5 to 8 employees. So it devastated a lot of people. None more than me and my wife. We were obviously devastated the most because we were the owners of the business. But to your point, Tommy, we couldn't sit around and throw a pity party too long because there were other people involved, and we had to keep it moving. And you know, I wrote a book called Swim, which is a bestseller. This is about the shark mindset. Yes. And one thing my wife and I did right, we didn't stop moving, right? And a lot of people have setbacks and adversity and they just quit. You know, just bury their head in the sand and just give up. My wife and I kept it moving because it's like we still got 3 kids, we still got a mortgage, we still got bills to pay. I'm from Chicago. We don't have time to throw pity parties too long. Man. We kept grinding and we did not take a break. Honestly, once we filed bankruptcy, we launched our training and development company. And within 3 years, we were doing well, right? But again, sharks never stop moving forward or they die. That's how they breathe. So work ethic, you can overwhelm mistakes just with work ethic. And so the worst thing we can do in life is nothing. You know, I don't care where you are right now. I don't care what you're doing. The worst thing you can do is sit around and do nothing. My wife and I kept it moving and we landed on our feet and stumbled into our purpose.
Right. And you know what? And I really appreciate you being transparent about that as well. So when you say you landed on your feet, what were a few things you guys did to evolve from, you go from bankruptcy to landing on your feet? Give us a couple things you guys did in the process.
Wow. Great question, Tommy. Honestly, you know, our first business was about making money. We thought like, man, we should do this because we can make some money. And that was our whole goal and that was our motive, which is the wrong motive to have. I mean, I think when you grow a really good business, a successful business, it's got to be around a passion, right? It's got to be about something that you want to make a difference in. And it can't be about making money because if it's only about making money, you're only happy if you're making money. As a motivational speaker, business coach, consultant, sitting on corporate boards, it's not even about the money. I love transformation. I love helping people win. I love helping companies and my clients and CEOs overcome their adversity and deal with their setbacks. To me, that's what brings me joy. And the money we make is just a reward for being good. And so the biggest mistake we made, Tommy, was chasing dollars. Yes. We were just trying to make money instead of understanding what's my passion. What do we enjoy doing? What we put on this earth to do? And since we kind of stumbled into our passion, it let us know that if you really want to make some money, don't focus on money. Now, that might sound crazy, but it's the truth. I played in the NBA, Tommy. When you're on the basketball court competing, you're not thinking about money. When you're a little boy dreaming about the NBA or the NFL, it wasn't the money that drove you. You wanted to play against the best. You wanted to achieve this goal and be the best. And if you're in an industry, all industries are lucrative, right? So if you become the best in the world in what industry you choose, you're going to make a lot of money. So don't ever focus on the money. Focus on being the best in the world at what you do. And in order to do that, you have to be almost OCD. You have to be obsessive. And I live in a neighborhood, man, a very successful neighborhood in Florida. And we go out to dinner all the time, networking. And that's one common trait that everybody in this neighborhood is obsessive, man. They're literally clinically OCD, but that focus and that effort and that consistent activity with habits and rituals every day is the only way to get to the top.
And you know, I love the fact that you said finding your purpose. You know, so again, when you guys were climbing out of this situation with bankruptcy, how did you end up discovering your passion, your purpose? You know, what was it? Did you have a mentor or how'd you discover?
Tommy, great question. My whole book Swim is about mentorship. Yeah. Why? Because my success and our success has been based on mentorship. Yes. Okay. My college basketball coach, Clem Haskins, when I was leaving the University of Minnesota, okay, he said, son, you should be a motivational speaker.
Wow.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't even know there was an industry for motivational speakers. I had heard of Les Brown. I had heard about Tony Robbins, but I didn't understand that there was an industry that revolved around motivational speaking. So when he said that to me, I just kind of blew it off. And I'm like, okay, coach, whatever. 10 years later, Tommy, 10 years later, I was at home. We had Jamboree and we were struggling and we were like, man, this is not it. And we
Right.
were sitting around trying to figure out the next steps. And I looked at my wife and I was like, babe, I want to be a motivational speaker.
Wow.
And I had a couple of different things I was doing. So one thing I learned through mentorship is focus.
Mm-hmm.
I even tried to play a little college baseball. And my coach came to me and says, Walter, you got a dilemma. I said, what do you mean? You're a really good baseball player. And you're a really good basketball player, but do you want to be a pro? And I was like, of course. He said, if you want to be a pro, you got to choose. You can either be really good in two different things, or you can be great in one.
Yes.
And I made a decision, and I was like, man, I was on a basketball scholarship, and I was like, man, I'm going basketball. It just makes sense. Right. But, I go home to Chicago, people are like, man, you should have played baseball. It was a tough choice. But, my whole point is you got to get focused.
Right.
And Bruce Lee says it best. You can take an average person with laser-like focus, you can turn them into a ninja. Yeah. Right. And so once we got focused on one thing, basketball, I was in the NBA 2 years later. Once we got focused on motivational speaking, within 3 years, Tommy, we were making more money in business than I had in the NBA just by getting focused, right? Just by getting laser-like focus. And so that's the one thing I learned throughout adversity, through our setbacks, through our ups and downs is one, don't focus on money. Focus on being the best in the world at what you do. Focus on one thing. What is that one thing? And all of a sudden, before you know it, that kind of focus, and it's got to be something that brings you joy. Mm-hmm. Right? When I got a microphone in my hand, Tommy, in front of 3,000 people, 2,500 people, I mean, there's nothing like it. I just spoke for a HR company. There were 40 people in the audience, but there were 2,000 at home. Yes. And man, it's like I got into a daze, man. It's like I got into a trance. That's right. And those people took over my LinkedIn account because they were so blessed by my message. Wow. And I wasn't up there thinking about money. Right. I was up there really giving my client all that I had to try and help them overcome their adversity. Because I've been through my own adversity.
Yeah, that is powerful, Walt, and I appreciate you sharing that as well. So I want you to go back to your darkest moment there. In your darkest moment, why didn't you give up? What kept you going? What kept you saying, hey, we're going to come up out of this thing? What kept you fighting? Why didn't you give up at that darkest moment?
Tommy, one, I had a family. One, I had a family. And I had a wife and 3 kids. And I'm like, I'm not going out like this. You know what I'm saying? that was one way. Another reason is my wife is a fighter. I mean, my wife will get in that foxhole and grind with you. So, I got a ride or die kind of wife. 3, that's how I was raised, man. My old man's whole motive, when we woke up in the morning, he was like, go get it, son. Yeah. That was his message for everything. Go get it. Just go get it. Whatever you want, go get it, right? And so when adversity hit, early in my career, because I didn't start in college, Tommy, that was my first fix of adversity. And my father kind of stepped in and said, look, man, this is a new level. This ain't high school anymore. You chose Minnesota, go make it work. You chose Minnesota, go make it work. I remember early in my marriage, I called home complaining. My dad was like, look, man, I know your wife, you chose that woman, go make it work. So that was just kind of how we were conditioned. Like, you're going to come up against adversity, but don't call here complaining, go make it work, go get it and go do it. So I feel like I've had a great support system. I've had incredible people around me to encourage me when my mind wasn't right. And eventually, by overcoming my adversity, I realized, like, man, all I had to do was push through this wall. That's all I had to do was just push through this wall. Now, I got tired, I got fatigued, I got discouraged like everybody else, but I got people around me that helped me, condition me, and supported me to keep pushing through, man. And once we broke through, Tommy, I'm telling everybody, look, dude, you don't have to be a C student. Just keep pushing through. I got a note today from a young lady on LinkedIn. I didn't know who she was, but she told me she kept failing this test. And I was like, well, you need to prepare for this test, not just to pass it, but to ace it. Yeah. She was like, whoa. I'm like, I could tell she had just been preparing just to pass it. No. You got to prepare to ace the test. Right. And once you get that mind right, that's a whole different ball game. That's a whole different preparation. That's a whole different mentality that I'm going to get an A, right? And for a long time in school, I was a C student. I did just enough to get by. And I realized I was sabotaging me. Now, I'm not about to C anymore. Now, I'm going for the A. I want to ace motivational speaking. I want to be an author and ace it. Everything I do now that I know, even though when adversity comes, if I keep grinding, if I keep pushing, I can eventually get the A.
That's right. I could have used you when I was in school getting them D's and F's, man, at the University of Minnesota. I could have used you there. You know, so when you look back on that experience of filing bankruptcy, man, how do you think that shaped you as a person?
Well, it was difficult, Tommy. I'm not gonna lie to you, man, because again, I was raised to you be accountable.
Right, absolutely.
And we got so overwhelmed financially, and we had creditors calling, and I'd never been in that situation before. In fact, when we started our business, we got what we call a character loan. My credit score was so high, and the bank thought so highly of me, they gave me the loan for the business unsecured. Right. So when I hit that adversity on people money, Tommy, I'd never been there before. Right, sure. I'm a guy, I'm gonna pay my bills. I don't like to owe nobody nothing but to love them kind of guy. But man, I hit rock bottom, man, and those creditors would call, and it was absolutely awful. And I would think that, man, that was probably the lowest moment of my life. But again, man, we didn't quit. We trusted the Lord. We went to church. Man, we were broke, Tommy. We started tithing and giving offering with all we had. Because it was like all in. I'd rather give this to God than the Visa and MasterCard. It wasn't enough for everybody anyway. So, God can do more with this money than we could, And I'm telling you, man, our faithfulness, we got really, really close to the Lord, man. And God just really began to heal our land, man. And before we know it, I never forget, I was doing high school gigs. And we were hustling, man, all over the country for like $500 a gig. At one high school in Duluth, Minnesota, asked my wife to feed, and my wife goes $500. And the lady goes, "That's all?" And my wife was like, "Excuse me? Like, it's high school." She was like, "Well, what were you expecting?" She was like, "Well, I was expecting at least $1,500. And my wife was like, "What?" And man, we never got $500 again, basically, right? And so that was a pivotal moment, right? But we just took a little bump, and then before we knew it, I would do these high school gigs, and parents would be there because I didn't even think I had a message for adults because I had played ball. Right. And what can I tell somebody that worked at Target, at 3M, or General Mills? What am I gonna tell a corporate person? Like, you got a real job. I just played in the NBA, but parents would come and hear me speak to their kids. And they would grab me and says, "Oh my God, like my company needs to hear this. Wow. My department needs to hear this. My CEO needs to hear this." Right. And slowly, Tommy, we got confident that man, this message is just for everybody. That's right. It's not just for kids. And before we knew it, we left those high school gigs and we got into Chamber of Commerce's and small associations. Now my biggest event was 25,000. At AT&T Stadium with the Cowboys. Man, they were packed in there from 20-yard line to 20-yard line. Every level, man. I got emotional backstage because I was like, my God, man, we're in front of 25,000 people. Wow. And the speaker had a delay. And so when you spoke, the audience heard it like a second and a half later. And that was freaking me out, man. But it was just like, my God, how far have we come? And it just shows that, man, when adversity hits you, you can't quit. That's right. I mean, your blessing, man, is right on the other side of that adversity. So you got to break through. You got to push through. And no matter what, don't give up. The sharks never stop moving forward or they die. That's how a shark breathes. So when I talk about the shark movement, I don't care. You never stop moving. And so when I see pro athletes who struggle after sports, I'm like, dude, you stop moving. That's right. What do you mean? Like, dude, you worked hard every day with football, basketball. You are obsessed, working out 2 or 3 times a day. Now your career is over and you're struggling. It's because you stopped moving. Like, what? Give me some activity. Give me some work ethic, man. Let's reclaim what you already know to do. But sometimes they haven't found that purpose. They haven't found that thing that brings them the same passion. And so another thing that we do is we really coach and mentor former athletes to be motivational speakers or to grow and be successful in business because they got what it takes. But sometimes all they need is a little mentorship, a little support, and a little coaching because I needed it. Right. So when I work with somebody, I have no judgment. That's right. I have people there for me in my darkest day, in my clowning moment. Right. And so the least I can do is be there for somebody else. That's right. That's very well said. And I appreciate that. So as you look back on your journey from bankruptcy to where you are now, would you do anything differently? I wouldn't, man. I wouldn't, man. When you meet people. For my audience members to hear that, though, every podcast guest I had on there said they wouldn't do anything differently. No, because the struggle is what makes it beautiful, man. Like we sit around and tell the kids stories about how broke we used to be. And they just bust out laughing. They were like, man, we didn't even know. And my wife and I, we tell them story after story after story, and they just think it's just hilarious. And we do it on purpose. One, it's our testimony, right? It's a true story. But at the same level, I want my kids to understand when your adversity hits, me and your mom can't be your God. You got to go through your adversity because God is trying to teach you something.
That's right.
You know, God's trying to develop you. And so again, man, we can't take struggle away because that's where the strength is, man. Before Jesus died on the cross, he said, Lord, must I drink from this cup? Yes. Right?
Yes.
And he said, hey, if it be thy will, right? And before we know it, he became a savior, right? Joseph, before he became the most powerful man in Egypt, God threw him into a ditch. That's right. So if you think about adversity, man, you play sports, Tommy. The first thing you did when you got to campus, they put you in the weight room.
That's right.
Because the coach looked at you and said, man, you were really good in high school, but at this level, you ain't strong enough. You got to get in the weight room, man. My other running backs are squatting 500 pounds, right? 450. Get in the weight room. So that's symbolic of what life is all about. And that freshman year in the weight room was adversity. That's right. And so a lot of times, if you just quit right then, we never know what could have been, right? Because you had the potential because they recruited you. Right. But so many people quit, man, when they face that adversity. Oh, I'm homesick, or I don't like it here, or I miss my mama's cooking, and all these excuses. I'm saying, look, I don't care if you're male, female, and I'm not talking sports, I'm talking life, right? When divorce hits you, you can't quit. That's right. When somebody cheated on you, you can't quit. You got fired, you can't quit. It doesn't matter. You didn't get into your dream school, but you can't quit. I don't care what your adversity is. Okay, I don't care how much it hurts. I don't care how tough it is. That is designed for you to build resilience and to develop mental muscle, physical muscle, and develop mental and emotional stamina, because you're going to need that emotional stamina to sustain success, right? So now I do 100 keynotes a year. I got to stay mentally tough to be able to manage and handle everything that I do. We have to be able to relate to people who are dealing with adversity without judgment. So I wouldn't change a thing, Tommy, because all of that struggle has helped me become who I am with confidence and humility. And that journey is, man, a beautiful thing. And then we just look back sometimes, and my wife and I are like, when I got put on a corporate board, Tommy, man, I hadn't told a lot of people that was my dream. To sit on a corporate board. But again, I'm like, man, I've never had a real job, really. Like, I stopped playing and I'm a motivational speaker, but we're able to transform and help so many organizations. Right. When Jersey Mike Subs, the CEO, Peter Cancro, was like, Walter, I want you to sit on my corporate board. Yes. You know, you're so good with people. You know, I want you to be my voice. And I was just like, what? I gave him a hug and I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, this is absolutely nuts. I didn't go to Harvard. Right, I don't have this advanced business degree, right? But this guy thought enough of me to put me on that corporate board. Right. It lets you know, man, that people respect your journey. They respect your gift. And a lot of times, you can't reach your potential without some good old adversity. So resiliency, to me, is like the Superman was a bad boy as long as he stayed away from kryptonite. Right. If you think about it. That's right. So a lot of times, we got to understand that adversity is not something you run away from, right? You got to deal with your adversity because it's going to make you stronger. Makes you stronger, yeah. Exactly. And so I don't know if that's the perfect analogy, but in this case, man, a lot of times people don't respond the right way to their adversity because they really believe it's something so horrible that they would have been great if this adversity didn't hit, when the adversity is the blessing itself.
Very, very well said, man. And if y'all don't know out there, man, my man Walter Bond can get you inspired, man. His brother been inspiring me for years. Walter, we have folks coming off of 2020, man, who have lost possessions, loved ones, confidence, money. What words of advice can you give those folks out there to let them know that a brighter day is to come?
You know, chaos is a ladder. You know, I'm gonna say it one more time. Chaos is a ladder. So I think God has given us all a chance to reset. You know, so whatever it was that you needed to get around to working on, you got to get it done, right? And so sometimes who you are is just a point of reference. And in order to get to that next level, you got to become better. So my question is, how many books are you reading? You know, did you go and finish school, right? Are you got your priorities back in line? You know, again, my wife and I, this gift of time, we went and finished a training we had been working on.
Yes.
We wouldn't finish an assessment we had been talking about and working on. We launched a nonprofit we had been talking about. So honestly, at the end of the day, there's typically more said than done, right? But faith without works is dead, man. I'm tired of people just talking about what they're about to do. Let's go do it, man. Let's
Yes.
go do it, bro. Do it scared, do it confused, do it angry, do it mad, do it alone.
That's right.
But just go do it because the Lord will provide. And the worst thing you can do is sit around and do nothing, man.
That's right.
Sharks never stop moving. And work ethic, man. You people don't understand how much. I do coaching sessions now all day, and I never understood how much you can get done in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I get a 5-minute gap in between coaching sessions, but I can get 3 things done in 5 minutes.
Yes.
I can run to the bathroom, do a wardrobe change, and make me a cup of coffee all in 5 minutes.
Yes.
So a lot of people who aren't where they want to be aren't really respecting time and don't really understand how valuable time is, right? And so a lot of us are busy with our time, but we're not productive with our time.
Yes.
And there's a true difference of being productive with your time versus being busy. So today, being on this podcast, getting a chance to meet with you, visit with you, and getting a chance to touch more lives and touch more people, that's a good investment of my time. And that's something I would do every day, all day.
And you know, your words, Walt, are going to be a blessing to a lot of folks out there. And folks, if you're looking for a motivational speaker, coach, trainer, you got to reach out to my man, Walter Bond, as well. Hey, Walt, we talked about some tough stuff. You ready to have some fun?
Let's have some fun, man.
Have some fun. So this part of our show is called the Rapid Fire Purpose Questions. I'm going to ask you questions about purpose. I'm not going to elaborate on the questions. I want you to give me and the audience your best answer. You ready?
Okay, it's like a game show.
Yeah, I'm not going to elaborate. I'm going to give you your best answer. Here we go. Walt, tell us how you turn a dream into reality.
Work.
Okay. What gives your life meaning?
People. I love people. Absolutely love people.
What one word best describes you?
Fun loving. I love to laugh. I can laugh all day long, wouldn't bother me a bit. And I'm laid back. People see me on stage, then they get to meet me. I'm really laid back, but I'm a performer. And something about getting on a stage, man, I just transform into a totally different person.
What problem do you want to solve in our world?
The C student, man. You know, Tommy, when I think about life, man, and you know, my parents were teachers, and I went to my father's high school, and I flunked out of my first high school. You know, when I think about what I want to see, you know, there's programs for A students, honor roll, National Honor Society, you know, smart kids were treated very special. And there are programs for F students, detention, you know, truancy officers, probation officers, but there's not a lot for C students, right? If you think about a C student at a high school, they just kind of walk around and there's no programming for them. And I think that's the biggest demographic. And when I look at my life, for a long time, I was a C student academically. I was a C student athletically. And I was able to, through support, coaching, and guidance, transform into something special. And I think that right now, no matter how many companies hire me, I'm gonna connect with the A students, no doubt about it. But my real transformation is gonna happen with their C students,
Awesome.
you know, which is every organization's largest demographic.
I love it. What was your favorite thing to do as a kid?
Sports, man. Tommy, every day, all day, man. Baseball, basketball, football. If Muhammad Ali was on, I'm gonna be the next heavyweight champ. My mom used to almost sit me down and make me rest, because I remember, you know, in baseball, I was a back catcher and I would catch triple hitters. Wow. And then go play a summer league basketball game. And my mom was very like, honey, you need some rest. You need to go, my old man was like, let's go. You know, he's a country boy, but, you know, sports, man, every day, all day. And that's why I struggled academically. Honestly, early in my life, I could care less about school because my whole focus was about being a pro athlete.
Right. What does your 15-year-old self imagine you'd be doing right now?
Exactly what I'm doing. Man, when I was young, I would go to church and I would hear the preacher preach.
Yes.
And I would say to myself, man, I could do that.
Yes.
And I wouldn't tell anybody else. I wouldn't even tell my brother. I would just in my own head, I can do that. So I knew I was going to speak publicly. Steve Harvey, one night we were hanging out, let me go up on his comedy club. So I was always kind of close. And I realized, although I use humor, I'm not a comedian. Although I love the gospel, I'm not a preacher. And as a motivational speaker, man, I get to do it all, man. I can preach a little bit. I can be funny. I can be inspirational. I can teach. And honestly, motivational speaking is my perfect place. And I know that I'm doing exactly what God has created me to do, man. That's a beautiful thing. And I want to help as many people as I can discover their purpose.
I love it. Who inspires you the most?
My wife, man. Again, my wife is the fire plug around here. I'm laid back. I bet she's the grinder. And my kids. You want to be a good model. You want to be a good example.
Mhm.
And I want to leave my kids integrity. I want to leave them my faith. I want to leave them my work ethic. But I also want to leave them some resources.
That's right.
When I think about generational wealth, when I think about families, there's nothing better than that second generational kid who can come and build on a business that mom and dad started, with all the relationships and all the know-hows and systems and processes. And you think about Ford Motors, that started with the family, right? Every company on this earth started with the family. And it'd be cool to have kids and grandkids and great grandkids working for the family business.
I love it. What's one thing that we would be surprised to learn about you?
I like girly movies. Me and my wife,
Right.
I get emotional too, man. I'm that guy, man. We'll go to girly movies, chick flicks, and I'll sit there and I'll get caught up, man. I'm just that guy. I'm just that dude. I'm really a mama's boy. As much as I talk about my dad, my brother and sister will tell you, man, you just like mom. What are you talking about? So I'm like 95% wired like my mom. Because my dad was quiet, kind of just an old school, just a tough guy, but always had respect for him.
That's good. What's on your bucket list to do within the next year?
Wow, within the next year. My wife and I love to travel.
Mhm.
One thing that is afforded us through the resources of our business and being around the world, we love to travel, man. We love to go to great resorts and just rest, recover, and enjoy, the blessings that God has for us. So I'm looking really forward to going to wineries in Italy and going on cruises to Asia and going on safaris in Africa. I believe in working hard and playing hard.
That's
And
right.
just really having a full and balanced life.
That's right. What's something you'll spend time doing no matter what?
Watching football. Tommy, I'm a football nut.
Uh-huh.
Watching basketball is different for me because I know the game so well that it's hard for me to just watch a game and just have a good time. Football, I got thoughts, I have opinions. I played high school football, but I'm not an expert. But I love to watch the Gopher football team play. I love to watch the Vikings. And there's nothing better for me and my wife to do than to go to a football game and tailgate and just have a good time watching your favorite team.
That's right. I love it. I love it. What do you want your grandchildren to say about you?
Wow. That's a great question, man. My grandkids, man, I want them to say that my grandfather was a righteous man.
Mm.
Oh, that's better than a rich man. That's better than a smart man. I want my grandkids to say, man, my grandfather was a righteous man.
Yeah, I like that. I love it. If you were a superhero, what would your superpower be?
Somebody save the day, man. I don't know who saves the day. Is it Superman or Batman or I guess all of them superheroes? I have called last week with the African guy in Gambia, and he was like, Walter, can you help us? And he was like, man, we don't have the ability to, do PayPal or anything in Gambia. And I was like, man, I got a buddy on the board of PayPal. Let me see if I can do something, right? And so I'm having a conversation with a board member on PayPal to help a country in Africa possibly get PayPal because right now they're using Western Union. It takes too long. Western Union hits them over the head for like 10, 15% per transaction. So just really thankful, like, man, could I connect the dot and maybe help an entire country rise up a generation of entrepreneurs because they want me to come and coach the entrepreneurs. And I'm like, man, if they can't get money and transfer currency easily like everybody else, we just do Zelle and PayPal so easy, and they're really struggling with that. And most Africans don't have that same access to technology. I mean, that's what it's about, me coming in and being able to say, man, I know so many people, I've connected with so many different leaders at a high level. I can literally come in and be used by God to transform a situation and change not just lives, but now have the chance to change countries.
I love it. I love it. What sparks your creativity?
A gift. I mean, I've always been innovative. And that's one of the beauties of our teamwork methodology. Have you ever noticed in business, the only person they really celebrate is the innovator, right? Oh, Elon Musk, he's an innovator. And Bill Gates, he's an innovator. You know, we play sports. You just can't say the only person that matters is a quarterback. Well, you better have an offensive line. You better have a good running back. You better have some wide receivers. So in sports, you don't celebrate one person. So we created a teamwork methodology where we have all the positions on the team. Yes, innovator is important, but you need an initiator. Okay, right. Mark Zuckerberg. You need an instigator, Steve Ballmer. Yeah. You need an improver, Oprah Winfrey, and you need an implementer, Jack Welch. So we've created these positions that you can play in the context of your job, and we've associated them with different successful people that we've never called them this, because the only position we talk about is the innovator. But we teach them the 5 positions called work expressions. Our business leaders are like, dude, this is brilliant. Yeah. Where'd it come from? Innovation. My wife and I sat around, and here's my thought on it. You know, when I left sports, it was all about teamwork, teamwork. When I got into the corporate environment, all they talked about was leadership. And I'm like, well, what's a leader's job? To build a team. So that's when we went to the bookstore. The ratio of leadership books to teamwork books is negligible. It's like awful. Yeah. And all this leadership training is kind of self-centered. Well, we've made leadership about you. Like, no, dude, teamwork is about us, right? And so we've been able to transform organizations through our teamwork methodology. And people are looking at my wife and I like, dude, this is brilliant. Like,
it really is.
I mean, it's another gift that that I'm uniquely positioned to give, because there's not many Hall of Fame motivational speakers who also played sports at a high level, who can also come in and teach something like teamwork in a way that nobody's even thought about.
I love it. I love it. If you became president today, what law would you pass first?
Wow, man, if I became president, I would do something to get middle class back. You know, I feel like, you know, we become this have and have nots. And I grew up in a middle class kind of community next to a policeman and the postman and the librarian. And we kind of lost that. You know, we either got people flipping burgers, or we got people launching technology companies. Yeah. Whatever I would do, I think would be focused on really building a strong middle class. Because I think when you have a strong middle class, I think that's the best thing for America. How to do it, Tommy, I don't know. There's a lot of people out here smarter than me, but whatever I would do, because the rich is going to get richer. That's just how the world is set up. Yeah. But there's something about that middle class that I think that if we can really recover and create a middle class where people can go and live and they're not in debt and they're not living check to check. You know, I don't know what that means, but just create a solid middle class. I think is the most important thing we can do to our economy, to our country, to our communities. And that's what I would do, something to build the middle class.
I love it. If you could follow someone around for a day, who would it be and why?
Whoa. Wow. Well, obviously I would say Jesus, but if I want to say somebody human, wow. You know, I lost my dad, so I'm not going to go there. I might get emotional. If I could follow somebody around for a day, you know, it might be Nick Saban. And here's why. You know, Nick Saban has won everywhere he's gone. He has constant turnover. And at 68 years old, this man is still passionate. And I would just love to observe his leadership. And not only is he producing champions at Alabama, he's developing and launching other coaches. And so when I think about the context of sport, that would be Nick Saban. If I could pick a business guy, I would love to go around with Bill Gates.
Yes.
And just see how he thinks, see how he engages, see how he runs meetings, just to see how he approaches business. He just made a huge land purchase where he's basically buying up land all around the country. You know, he has a method to his madness. Obviously, he's one of the smartest people in our lifetime. And so if I could pick two, it would be Nick Saban and Bill Gates.
You know, I'm going to even deviate in this question a little bit, because initially you said your father.
Yeah.
Why would you say your father?
I would just want to say thank you. That would be it. You know, it wouldn't even take a whole day. I would just say thank you. And, you know, I flunked out of my first high school. And he was, come on, Tommy. Right. He was the guy. Yeah. He was the guy.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. What's been the best compliment you've ever received?
Walter Byrne, you're real. You know, that's the biggest compliment. I hear it all the time. You know, like you're real. And you know, my comeback is that shouldn't be a compliment. You know, I'm thinking, you know, isn't everybody real? But the truth is sometimes we're so afraid of people that we become actors and almost, you know, bipolar in nature. We would act one way at work, we act one way at home, we act one way in front of these friends, we act totally different in front of those friends. And I guess, you know, we all digress a little bit or upgrade a little bit. But the biggest compliment that I get as a speaker in front of an audience is just, Walter Bond, you're real, you're relatable. You know, and again, it goes to, yeah, I'm successful now, according to, you know, worldly standards, but I know where I came from. You know, I remember sitting on the bench. You know, I remember flunking out of my high school and being embarrassed. You know, I remember filing bankruptcy, right? And so all of those memories, and yeah, you know, we fought through it, and yeah, you know, we were resilient, but it really has taught me to never assume that the next day is going to be perfect.
That's right.
Always just got to be ready for life.
That's right.
You know, never get too high, never get too low. Just keep grinding, stay even keel. But at the end of the day, all things work for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. And I've lived that, I have seen it. And so even when adversity comes, I know that we're going to overcome it. And I know God's going to make something beautiful by it.
I love it. What's been the one thing you have never been afraid to do?
Fail. I mean, you know, in basketball as a shooter, he was taught to keep shooting. You know, even though you miss, keep shooting, shoot an air ball. I remember coaches saying, man, if you don't shoot, I'm gonna take you out. And that created a mentality that, man, I'm gonna knock the next one down.
That's right.
You know, I missed the last one, but I'm gonna knock down the next one.
That's right.
And that's a mentality that I think we all need. Like, I might have just lost this job, and I ain't gonna lose the next one.
That's right.
You know what I mean? I might have lost this boyfriend, but I ain't gonna lose the next one, or this girlfriend, or this husband.
That's right.
And the next one's going down. Right?
What moment from your childhood are you most proud of?
Rebounding from flunking out of my first high school. You know, I went to one of these top academic schools, Whitney Young in Chicago. This is where Michelle Obama went. And these were the smartest kids in Chicago. And probably the thing I'm most proud of is I turned a 2.1 into a 2.9. And I had to grind, man. I had to grind. And, you know, I could say sports, but honestly, I come from a gifted family. My uncle played Major League Baseball. My big sister played college ball. My dad's in the Hall of Fame. I come from that kind of family. We just produced athletes, right? And but for me, you know, coming from a family of educators, probably getting serious academically was the thing I'm most proud of. And I did it at a young age, and I'm still doing it. I'm writing books and all this cool stuff. And my father would always say, you're just as smart. My brother and sister were good students. So he would say, you're just as smart as your brother and sister, but your value system was screwed up. And he would just, you know, he would just straight up with me, and he would never, always encouraging, but he was like, dude, this makes no sense. Right. It ain't like you dumb. Like, why aren't you getting good grades? And he was right, man. All I cared about was sports. Yeah. And once I kind of switched and pivoted and got serious about academics, never looked back.
Wow. What does success look like for you?
Wow, hitting your goals, man. Success is simple, man. Hitting your goals, right? And so, you know, now with this training and development company, we have new goals. Yes. And our goals are big. You know, we push ourselves. We're not afraid to create goals that create pressure, but you know, to me, success is just about setting a goal and hitting it. That's what success is to me.
Love it. What are you most grateful for?
My faith. I'm most grateful for, you know, reaching out to the Lord and knowing he's real. Yeah. That's what I'm most thankful for, because, you know, again, you know, I'm powered by something bigger than me.
Right.
I'm powered by something stronger than me.
That's right.
I'm powered by something that's omnipotent, right? That as long as God is my friend, you know, I mean, there's no telling what's possible for my family. As long as I stay obedient and in pocket, as long as I stay in pocket spiritually, man, there's no telling what the Lord can do.
What's been the biggest lesson you've learned in life? You
know, be resilient. I mean, when I think about the name of your podcast, that's it, man. Just never stop moving, man. Just have a mentality, perspective that no matter what, man, just keep grinding.
That's right.
Right?
That's
Learn along the way. Don't be too proud to admit mistakes, and be committed to the result, not your strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Be committed to the result, not the strategy, because some people are committed to the strategy more than they are the result. And every now and then you gotta take a detour. Like, yo, bro, that ain't working.
Right.
You still can get there, but maybe we gotta go to the next exit and double back.
That's
Right.
right.
But some people, Tommy, for some reason, are more committed to their strategy than they are the result.
Yeah, that's very well said. And Walt, last but not least, how do you want to be remembered in history?
As a transformational agent, someone that was able to help companies transform, sales forces transform, companies transform culture. When you go from being a C student to an A student, that's transformation.
That's right.
You go from being a college reserve to an NBA starter, that's transformation. And my thought is, man, I'm that C student.
That's right.
I mean, that's who I was. That's not who I am today.
That's right.
But that's who I used to be. And so what I want to be known for as the guy that can help C students all over the world transform into A students.
Man, I love it, man. Walt Bond, give yourself a round of applause, brother. You survived it, man. Great job, brother.
And that rapid fire was relentless.
Great job, brother. I appreciate it. Folks out there, my friend, my brother, Walter Bond, man, if you're looking for a speaker, get you fired up, he's the man. So Walter Bond, as we get ready to close out this podcast, the purpose of what we do here is around resiliency and purpose. What last thoughts can you give our audience around resiliency and purpose?
Before you decide a career, you must first discover your gift. Because whatever purpose God has for you is going to revolve around the gift that he gave you.
That's right.
And I'm gifted to play sports, and I'm gifted to run my mouth. And don't ask me to do nothing else. Don't ask me to hang your drywall. Don't ask me to figure out your software. Don't ask me to program your remote control, because I can't do it. Don't ask me to fix your car. Mm-hmm. I can play ball, and I can run my mouth and inspire and motivate people, and I stay in my lane. And so when I think about success, when I think about purpose, don't ever decide a career that's just gonna make you money.
Right. You
gotta discover your gift first.
Yes.
And once you discover your gift, you have to develop your gift, and then you gotta position your gift. And we go another 2 hours on that, but discover your gift, develop your gift, and then position your gift.
Yes, yes. That is beautiful, man, and very well said. Folks out there, if you're not pumped up after hearing Walter Bond, I'm not sure what's going on with you, though. So folks, if you have an inspiring story, if you're an overcomer, we want to hear from you. Please go to tawatson.com, subscribe to our podcast, Resilient Stories, download it, rate it, share with your folks on social media. And again, Brother Walt, I appreciate you big time, man. I love you. Everyone else out there, peace, God bless, and deuces to you.